Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to Docu Sweeties.
We're two longtime friends who discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and docuseries.
Yes, but through our own lens, which can be bitter, can be salty, can be acidic, can be quite hot, can be quite cold, but at the end of the day, hopefully mildly sweet. Hi.
Hi, hot, 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 hot stuff. Hot, hot,
Oh,
hot.
is that from the Fame soundtrack?
Donna
Oh no,
Summers?
that's Diana. Yeah, that's Dinosaurs. Yeah, that's hot stuff.
Dinosaurs. Who? What is it?
Diana Summers.
No, Donna.
Oh, I know you're right.
Donna Summer. I love that. You have dinosaurs, dice dinosaurs.
No,
I
I
was
said
like,
Diana Summers, which is not it at all. Which is not it at all. I'm so sorry.
yeah.
I'm in my own world. I'm having like
So,
major back pain. I'm on a heating pad. I'm the oldest woman ever. I took like a muscle relaxer. You know what I'm saying?
oh,
Oh yeah.
where'd you, can you send me a
No,
screenshot
I
of my
cannot
neck?
send you. Oh yes.
Oh, you can't say my neck really hurts, and I think, okay, friend,
I
thanks.
thought you were gonna try
Anyways,
to
we're
make me
talking
send
90 Day
you through the
Fiance.
mail a muscle relaxer, and I was like, how am I gonna send you a muscle relaxer? But that's not what you're gonna say,
I
were
mean,
you?
you're gonna put it. You could put it in an envelope, but you
One
know,
pill? A pill
yeah.
in an envelope? You cannot
With
put a pill in an envelope.
you can get a Ziploc bag, put a pill in it. Then you could get a piece of paper, fold that paper around that pill in a bag, and put it in a regular letter envelope
Federal letter?
and close it and send it off. You don't. I mean, you're not like ferrying drugs across the world. You're in
Just
Colombia,
across state
girl.
lines. And you
Okay. So I'm sorry. How are they going to trace it back to you, Chris? You're not going into the shuffling into the post office like, here's this letter with a pill in it. You're going to get a stamp, and I'm sure your dad has stamps because he's, of that age of people who
old.
own stamps. Yeah.
Boomer? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
So get a stamp and then just drop it off in a random mailbox. But anyways,
Listen,
you're not my friend. We're talking about 90 Day Fiance, Love in Paradise, season 4, episode 5. I don't know the title of it.
you never did.
But yeah, no, I wasn't asking for you to send it to me. I was just like wanting to know what you take because I think I might have to ask for that because my neck be season up, sis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I
I
would
hope
just
you feel
rather
better.
take you some of pills, like I'll take it like on a Southwest flight. Like that would make me feel better. Cause like in my own name, and just like go to Southwest. I just like, like spend a night and then I just drop them off to you. That seems easier and less like super illegal than the first one, especially now that we've said it out on this podcast. But okay.
Um, uh, okay, well, how about I do that? How about I send you just like something real simple, like a propanol or like a Xanax, and then you see what it's like.
Well, yeah, I have a little Ativan all the time. I think
Oh,
I get 30 days of Ativan once a year, and just even having them quells the storm.
good. What is
But
that
sometimes I
about?
do take
Anxiety?
0.5. Oh, anyway. So Liz, you know who also has anxiety? Luke. Madeline and Luke. Madeline and Luke. It's a Madeline. Madeline is what her name is, and Madelines are this yummy kind of like doughy kind of dessert, which I really enjoy. Anyway, but
I hope we
she's
never have to see her again. Go ahead.
because here's the thing. I just said this on the last episode we did of Happily Ever After, which is that I 100%, and so I'll just say it now, feel like I am and will always be like a 90-day fiance fuckboy because I really don't want more than one season with any of these people. And every time they make us stay with them longer, it's not fun anymore. And like, not even that it's barely fun now, but you really take all the piss and joy out of it if you make us stand them and then have them heighten for like benefits and play even more characterized versions of themselves, like caricature going into high, ungrounded, kind of awkward camp. It's melodrama. I mean, it's not for me. And so in that sense, yeah, we can't have more than one season of her for sure.
No, I mean the poutiness,
Yes.
like I can't do it. So she's mad. So he gives her some space and he goes and hangs out with a friend who's like, she's using you for money. Use your brain, not your dick. And he calls him Poppy. And I was like, can we explain that a little more?
Which then I feel like he tries to, which is like my mom was Mexican. And so I basically knew Spanish for the first part of my life. And now this is like me becoming, but I mean, when he calls that man Poppy, I was also interested by that. That was like, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, that's Brian. That's Brian.
I mean, it happens. It doesn't happen. It happens a lot in like Puerto Rican and like Caribbean Spanish culture for men to call each other papi, but I've
Okay.
just never heard it in Colombia. So that's why I was a
Okay.
little confused. And then when then he didn't tell us that he was half Mexican until later on. And even that doesn't explain it, because I'm gonna tell you right now, not to say it doesn't happen, because I don't know every Mexican in the world, but I have never heard a Mexican male call another Mexican papi.
I mean, I haven't either. I think that's also what is hilarious is just know he only knows Brian because Madeline's 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 best friend is his wife. Okay. Madeline's best friend is his wife. So if this man is like, be honest. I mean, I just come on, we need you to be honest with yourself. She, as she literally will only say, like, I don't want to talk about the monies, like she obviously only cares about the money, like, and you did the thing that other people did, like which is like what George and Anfisa did or whatever, which is that your captivation and your courting of this person involved lavish, opulent spending.
Mm-hmm.
And people, it's like, I hate to say this, it's like people fall in love with the way that you make them feel, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that for you, you overcompensated with money you could not financially upkeep by making sure that she felt so whatever protected and secure by you, that she fell in love with that. And then now you're taking that away and wanting her to feel the same way. Now that's how I feel. Now at the same time, does she know that? No, I think that she's 19 and vapid, for
Also,
sure.
he's being a little bitch. Like
Yeah.
the way he behaves is so not machismo. And she runs circles around him to where this grown ass man
Yeah, she does.
is so scared of him. He says, like, I don't know how many truth bombs can happen in
Oh,
this relationship can take. And I said, well, you don't know how much truth you can give her in this relationship before it ends? Did you hear yourself?
truth bombs is such a fucked up thing. Like truth, but like, because every truth is going to ruin everything. Like, as
Mhm.
opposed to truths being maybe sometimes hard, but bringing people together in such a way. It's wild how immature he is. And I'll just be honest, it feels like every time we see like an older individual be with like a much younger individual, it's because the older individual is grappling with their own self-identity in such a way that makes it only safe for them to be with someone they can perceive as being wildly immature, so that they don't feel like they'll be overtaken by someone. And I
Mhm.
feel the same thing about Nicole from Nicole and Mahmoud. And I feel the same thing about him. I would probably feel the same way about Sean. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And Sean is so much older than Aaliyah. He's that like they're the years in which keep them separate, like it's like is older than than Aaliyah in years, which is so wild to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like older than Gino and Jasmine. It's like
Oh yeah.
30 years.
Yeah. That I
Like
mean, she's
yeah,
25.
she's 25 and he's 60 or something.
Yes.
It's like bananas. So anyway, so they talk about him and his friend Brian talk about getting a prenup because he while he's cash poor, he still has assets. And then I'm thinking he's about to like name a bunch of stuff, but he really just names an apartment in Colombia, which is no small feat, but like I mean, you don't even have the money to get married. So like why are you even talking about the prenup now? I mean, it's important to talk about it. I get that because he should have said that to begin with, but he proposed to an 18-year-old.
Mhm.
Like, oh, how is she supposed to feel about a prenup?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
I don't think that she would understand. And like this whole idea of like, well, it's because you don't trust me, whatever. But anyways, let's get back. So, they talk about the rental property, then they go there and they clean it, and she's sweeping and looks like sweeping up what I don't know, but he's so anxious or something because he's like, oh, I'll help you, she's like, no, I sweeping, and then he goes into the bedroom, he's like, babe, I need your help with the fitted sheet, and I was like, why? You know how many women and men every day go into their own home with whatever size bed they have and change their own sheets? Well, how is her with her long nails going to help you with the fitted sheet? You're most putting her in danger, honestly.
Absolutely. Like, if you can't put a fitted sheet, I have, do you know how hard it is to change a duvet cover? That takes fucking work. To maybe
Yeah.
fold a fitted sheet takes work. Putting on a bed is not a problem. Yeah, I agree. This feels like it feels like the same apartment she's living in. I'm like, did you buy one and then she's renting one? Doesn't so like it
Yeah.
felt like it's in the same building. I'm like, this who usually cleans it after all of the rentals? Are you trying to save money this 1 week because you're there? Does she usually clean it? I
Yeah.
wondered, like, is there something you're not telling us? And then, yeah. So, next scene is that she and him go and spend some time with her family. It's her mom and her Aunt Paula. And then Aunt Paula's maybe like child who's very cute. And we'd like get some backstory. Madeleine's dad left. Madeleine's mom had to work a lot, so she was gone a lot. That's why she was raised by these two very like lovely women, and the tamales look good. And like, Luke is excited to like throw some Spanish in there, but basically the whole time they're talking about the wedding because that's like what she talks about a lot. And and he's there. And so unfortunately, because they've fought about the fact that he can't move there yet because he ran out of money. And again, he is taking money out his 401k, and he decided to put $10,000 into this sunglass thing and made 300 things for about $35 each that somehow fold into a medallion. He thinks it's really cool, and Poppy's like, they have some weight to them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so at this like tamale making thing looks beautiful. The girls are like, well, where are we? When is the date? And she's so excited, and let's talk about it. And he's awkward as fuck because he can't commit because he doesn't have the funds to do everything. And then now has to also bring up the prenup conversation in his mind. So
Yep.
in this conversation, anything else besides the next scene?
No, I mean, just Paola and the mother are like, well, listen, if a grandmother, mother are like, we trust him. He's taken care of her thus far, but it's been a year now, and something needs to happen. And she's just not saying anything, being a little dick and not saying anything to her family. She's just egging them on to talk more about it, to the point where their next scene is her booking to see a venue. So they go to this venue. I'm not a window shopper. I'm not somebody who takes things so far to imagine things and then be like, oh my God, like, let's go and do this thing. So I would never do that, like, unless I had the money ready to go to put down on it.
Yeah.
And so that's just, so for the whole exercise to me was absolutely pointless, besides the fact that maybe a producer told her to do it. The
Yes.
other thing that I found just pointless and unremarkable is the dress she wore. I hated it. I hated it so much. I hated it so much. It didn't do anything for her. She just, it wasn't, get back in the baggy pants with the moon shoes.
God, I feel like in this dress, in this wedding venue where she's literally envisioning her like violins and pianos, and she has her 3 dresses picked out, one for the ceremony, one for the reception, and one for the party. What again, this man has no money and like is basically telling you have to close your beauty BLUD business. She looks to me like Christina Aguilera. Like, she's giving me like Genie in a bottle, like a very thin frame with like the smallest, kind of like Cher Clueless Calvin Klein kind of dress where you're just like, I mean, and just like heels and everything. Now, I'll say, I think, okay, so this is what happened. She's basically taunting him and keeps saying like all the things she wants. And he's like, I don't think she gets it. I don't think she gets financial literacy. I'm like, we're like, she's 19. She's like, not you, like how, I don't know why you put so many things on her. And then basically, I do feel like she thinks that he has extra monies that he's not giving her, or doesn't know how dire it is. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think that she thinks, well, okay, you still have 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
Mm-hmm.
so weird to me because I'm like, yeah, when that's gone, you won't have any, like, but he's like, no, I have nothing. So
Yeah.
because she's like, well, the venue itself would be like 5,000 or to 15 with other things, of course. And she already talked about the 3 dresses and the 3-piece band / orchestra set, like she didn't say a harp, but I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, you can have a piano, a violin, a harp. What else
A
happens?
band, a DJ. Like, also, here's my thing.
Say it.
She, what, she, isn't her family supposed to pay for the wedding? So like I'm just like and listen, $20,000 for the wedding that she's talking about is not that expensive in American terms. There are people who spend more money on a wedding. So when I heard $20,000, I was like, oh, that's not bad. That's
Oh
like
yeah, no.
a year and a half, like a working, like if she if
Oh,
they, yeah,
yeah.
like you could get that easily. So all he has to do is go back and like get a job, and he'll pay it off. He'll pay it in a year. But then he tries to awkwardly have the prenup conversation, and as like that's the thing that needs to happen first. And then he's like, "Well, Brian thinks," and I was like, "That's such a punk move. Like,
Mhm.
be a man. Don't bring up
Mhm.
Brian in the situation." Brian thinks what? So you're trying to get her in a fight with Brian? What's wrong with you, Luke? He's not to be
Brian's
trusted.
wife. Yeah,
Yeah,
her.
he's not to be trusted. So like it is just it we all know that she's using him for money because she's
Yes.
19. Why would she give up? Why would she give up all of her freedom and her youngness to Luke unless it was so good of an offer to not turn up? Because she's like, I don't want him for his money. I could get anybody else. And I'm like, then you should go get somebody else because he's not going to be able to give you what you want or stay outfitted, stay rich long enough for whatever it is that you require. Um,
Do you think that her thing is that she'll date a guy and then tell him, "Oh, you were the first one that make me squirt," and then that is like why he feels so like, holy shit, I'm
I
her
mean,
man.
yeah, yeah.
It's like the modern day, like instead of being like, your dick is so big, is the biggest I've ever been with, or whatever. Now girls are like, oh, you're the first to make me squirt. I feel like that makes it so like, hmm, why?
I got to stay with this one. This is
Or
the one
I
that
just,
feeds my ego.
yeah, 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 exactly, exactly. Oh,
Um, okay, next couple is Kyle and Annie. We got another runaway bride here. So,
oh, yeah.
Annie gets up and runs out of the out of the clothing store, and the sales lady just sees her leaving. I mean, she's already hating this whole situation, but she looks at Annie running away, and Annie's like, "I'm so sorry to cry. I just don't. It's just so weird." And I'm like, "Yeah, trust your instincts. Trust that flee, that fight or flight. Trust it." And then we have this fool, Kyle, tried to sit in a chair, but his clothes are too tight, and so he has to like maneuver himself down in this chair. And he's like, this is so awkward. For someone who has such rules and wants to be a Dom so bad, for him to feel as uncomfortable and as awkward in most situations where she's asking him realistic questions is just, it's just, as Chris would say, LOL.
Yeah, she really has such a connection with him, and that she just is so mad that he isn't able to give her what she wants, which is all of him and nothing for anyone else in this world. I
But
mean,
Chris, he's willing to compromise. He said that she could pick the woman.
yeah, he wants. He's like this. He's like a. He's like still wants. He's like the Adriano. He's like, I want this in my life, and it's to fuck other women. And
Mm-hmm.
both women are like, no, only me.
Mm-hmm. 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 And then they're
Adriano,
still
yeah.
trying to make it work. They're trying to figure it out how to make it work, even though the man has clearly told them what it is that they want, and the woman
Mhm.
just won't take the step. And I don't remember how old Annie is, but I know she's too old for this
Yeah,
behavior.
yeah, absolutely, yes.
I know she's too old for this behavior. So he starts crying because she starts crying. And then at the end, Annie's like, I still see potential. And at that point, I just can't be on, I mean, I couldn't be on her side 2 episodes ago. But now I really am just like, I'm really just watching it for Kyle, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much on the streets, obviously, about him and like different women that have like said that they met him in his Facebook groups and that he led them on and all this stuff. Like there's a lot about him. He's on Dr. Phil, and on Dr. Phil, he got an STD test, he said, for the first time. And now I guess he'll get another one. I mean, that he doesn't disclose genetic testing to these women, and that, he just preys upon like a certain like clientele that might like really want a child for whatever reasons and need to get around most normal and or like or like tried and true methods in the 2024s to like get it done. And so there's just a lot of risk involved in that. And there's a lot of social media presence that he's cultivated in the branding and pursuit of such a thing.
So it really, I mean, I knew it was a kink, but like it really is a kink, and um, he's actually trying to pretend like it's not by acting like he's just doing it for altruism. Hilarious. That's great. Great.
So this it's weird again to see a woman in real time, if this is real, like be taken in just because, I just in a billion years don't find him sexually magnetic in a way that I think that I've allowed myself in other plays too. Like I told you, I don't know if I told you, like I went to Disneyland yesterday. We went on the Peter Pan ride or whatever, and like there was just this like hot dad, like he was so big, like very big, like I mean like a Viking or whatever. And like, the 1950s Disneyland rides, they're very close. Like it's like tiny people. It was like very small people in the 1950s that would go through the like different lines and lanes that they've now impacted in this thing. And so sometimes when you're like going through, you're just so close to the line behind you as it wiggles through. And the sexual magnetism from this man was so much that I found myself in distress as our bodies just hovered through, because he wasn't alone. He's a dad with other people, like he wasn't just a lone dad. And so I had to be very respectful, but I felt like our genitals were singing at each other. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, were you just like, oh, so you're just like, I'm sorry, ma'am. Can you put that man on a leash?
I thought I just held my breath every
You
time for like
cannot
I
be
held my
roaming,
breath.
cannot
I
be
held my
roaming the earth with
breath.
that man. You need to keep him at home.
I
Okay?
I know it. I know it. Now here's the thing. I'm like, this had to have only been on my side. I would love to like psychoanalytically know, like, well, did you think anything? But because I of course had my friend with me, I kept talking about it. She kept staring at him. We were both high. So maybe he also saw some of that. I mean, we took gummies.
That's crazy. I mean, like, yeah, sometimes I feel that way with like certain men too. And I'm just like, God, you're just walking around,
I know. With all of that,
just distracting me, and you're not even available. I'm sorry, stay at home. If you are not available, stay at home.
yeah. I mean, it was like I kept being like Game of Thrones. He's like, Game of Thrones is coming. Game of Thrones is coming. I'd just be like, with I had the biggest sunglasses on. Thank
Oh, well,
God.
good.
Thank
Thank
I
God.
know, I
Thank
know, I know, I know.
gosh.
Just like
Jesus.
believe me, I know how to do it. Okay, let's move on. So,
Um,
I don't know what's going to happen with Annie, but we can't claim
we
her.
don't care. Yeah. Let me tell you, Aaliyah looks the best with a high pony. Every
Hmm.
other
Hmm.
hairstyle, I was like, take that shit off now. I know you're exploring, but this is the wrong choice.
You don't like the braids? You don't like the braids and the orange braids with the? Oh, I didn't. I
Oh,
love
I
the
like.
like Y
Well,
two
I'm
braids.
sorry. We see the high pony first.
Okay.
Yeah, we see the high pony first, and the braids are good too. But like, every other style before the high pony is like, bleh. This
Okay.
though, super cute. Gets on a boat with her homie Jackie, who she's known for 3 years.
Yeah.
And they talk about Sean's behavior, and Jackie clocks it. Jackie's like, that sounds really weird and manipulating, that somebody would only want you because you were quiet and demure and scared. And then they go to eat, and I mean, just have a really good time, showing a lot of like support for Aaliyah. And then we talk about Aaliyah wanting to remove belly fat to put it in her butt. And I was like, girl, the butt is already butting. But I mean, if you want a soft butt and less of a muscular butt, I see what's happening. But she wants curves. And listen, I'm here for it.
Hmm.
I was glad she didn't want any like tight titties, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, but now we'll go to the next scene, and it's Aaliyah's like ceremony she gets to have on the beach. It's beautiful with her friends, some that she's known for 1 year, some that she's known like for a long time, and then of course Sean. And she debuts her braids, and they're just like these orange braids. I can't quite tell. Is this the orange dress we saw her buy before? No, I think she's wearing something else. I'm not quite sure, but it's like, yeah, it's like Y2K braids, because it's I don't know what the material is, but it's like ribbon or something that's like almost like a mesh kind of. fabric that are what's in her hair?
Regular ass braiding hair.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, what are Y2K braids? Like, I just was like ready for you to tell me
So
what you're talking about.
colorful. Like, like I keep saying like, yeah,
Look it
just
up
like
and send me a picture of it once you get that.
colorful braids.
But
Yeah.
no, yeah, definitely it was just regular braiding hair. Um, and I didn't clock that it was orange. I clocked that it was definitely like less brown than I thought it was going to be, but yeah, not like actual orange. But you know what? It was a beautiful ceremony, and it's so cute and funny that the friend forever is like, "Hey, when we were younger, we would play superheroes together, and I wanted to be strong, and the other friend wanted to fly, but Aaliyah was like, my superpower is shining." And I said, Jesus Louises, like from that young age, knowing that you like, what does shining even mean? But like just the visual of being like, and like knowing that you didn't feel like you didn't shine, and like, and having Sean say all this stuff, it's just really beautiful. It was really beautiful that was what this person has always wanted.
I agree. I agree. Like it made me feel like, yeah, little Care Bear esque, like, where your
Mhm.
heart is like coming out. I think that in a weird way, I think that because we both were, like, theater arts majors, there was a part of us that I guess wanted to shine in such a way, or felt like we've had moments of shining being on stage and therefore wanted to pursue more of it. So I've never really thought about that as like a verb to shine, like to be strong or to like, to fight or whatever. To shine is such an intense um kind of like primal guttural want. It's beautiful though. So basically, there's like Aaliyah has this poem that she reads in Portuguese that her friend that she's known for a long time, again, that she played with, says in English. And it's like, Douglas is gone. There's a lot of negativity involved with that. I putting that to rest. And this is like the new me. And Sean finally comes to accept this in such a way by saying, I know I have to accept the beautiful soul that I'm in love with or whatever, which is true and has been true the entire time. So we'll see if that happens. I have a feeling they're going to stay together.
Yeah, I have a feeling they will stay together for at least a little while. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know that Aaliyah would throw away her. Like at 25, let that man go.
I
Let
know.
Sean go. Like you
I
deserve
know.
more than someone who is 10 years away from calamity. Now next we've got Alex and Adriano. When I found out that Alex was only 30 years old, I now understood what was happening. Because
Hmm.
before, and I'm going to tell you right now, not that she looks it, I just assumed that she was 38, 9. Like I just assumed that she was older. I didn't know she was just 30. And so I now understand this shenanigans that's occurring. We don't get any Adriano as far as I remember. It's just her and her cousin going to do pottery and making penises. I mean, the very first time she put her hand around that thing and I saw that mushroom tip, I said, "Oh,
Both of them. It was like the default for both of, like, it felt like there was no way. And now I'm like, that must be what happens. You have to put your hands there and you're just, suddenly it starts, you put your finger on top and then it bowls over. You're like, oh my God, dick. Like, it looks like you can't help yourself and make a dick. It's the most
yeah,
phallic. Is it? Oh, yeah. It's
yeah."
very
And when she
phallic.
came home, it went drip, drip, drip. I mean, like it was
Yeah.
so crazy how, and then they just were doing so bad at it. They were
Yeah.
so bad at it. Finally, they just had to stop, and just talk. Um,
Sorry.
so
I keep snorting. But yeah, she's also like, this is a messy thing. And I was like, well, why did you think making pottery wasn't going to be? Did you think you're going to color me mine? Like her whole braid has like clay in it? Like, I mean, the only other time, Ghost made such a moment of this, but like, we know that pottery is like, messy.
I don't know that.
What do you mean? The scene in Ghost that we've all seen where Patrick
Yeah,
Swayze
I
and,
mean, I saw it a long time ago.
of
Like
course
when
you
it,
did.
so I don't remember.
That one scene, but oh.
I mean, yeah, I remember the scene. I remember they got like he was a ghost and she was feeling him, but like I didn't know. I can't tell you that I would know that I need to wear grubby clothes. That's the thing. Like I'm just saying.
Oh.
So
Mm.
there's me. So I mean, like she's like the Tiffany was like, speaking of freaks, how's Fabio?
Yes, she did.
And that was hilarious. And so Alex thinks they're really in love, which again is
No.
and it's because of church. And this is my take as she's a black woman, black
Mm.
woman. I feel like it's because of religion and church that she feels like she has to accept this man and take him as he is and make it work because she thought she would be married with children by now. And that usually that idea is rooted in the black church specifically of like, oh, I'm running out of time. When she said she's running out of time, she's turning 30. I was like, girl, what the are you talking about? You have a whole profession. I thought you had like a practice. Like, what do you mean?
Mm.
And then she's like, and then her cousin is like, spending time with the wrong person means the right person won't come. And again, another weird black church ism that doesn't make any sense. No, no, don't say that. That's like, no, that's wrong. That's wrong.
That's so interesting because in the world, the pop culture world, that Clay of 80 and Clay and Love is Blind, he now has gone public with his new like girlfriend who's like this, I guess I've never seen her before, but like Instagrammer type sex worker slash like athlete wag style lady or whatever. And that Clay's mom released this statement on her Instagram, that was basically referencing the Bible, saying that Clay had picked the forbidden fruit as opposed to like trusting that, like because it was like alluring and but it's also like not it or something. Anyway, so that just made me think of that. But
I saw
it's also like what Alex is doing if you're going to like subscribe to this ideology. I'm not saying you
it.
should, but it reminded me of this. Yeah, like she's picking the forbidden fruit because she is so literally dickmatized that she's making dicks and her cousin's making dicks. I mean, you can't write this shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is kind of
Yeah.
great. That he's just so sexually, like pervasive in her life that she cannot understand a world in which it isn't right, because if it feels like this, how could it not be right? Which I feel like
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
sometimes hard to deal with because other situations you don't feel anything at all. I mean,
Mhm.
literally and figuratively,
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
but I think that when you do feel something so strong, it's hard to believe that this isn't right or
Mhm.
whatnot, because it's making you feel alive. And what is right if it's not making you feel alive? And I mean, either to let, and this is where it's so muddy on how to take care of yourself and in these situations, because you can't like deny yourself your own what feels like happiness, but also you have to be constantly contingent and aware of the end goal and how this plays out on like probable levels. And I mean, that is just like right and left brain mastery that I can't do. And it's, very hard for like Alex to do. At the same time, again, we got to like see a woman see her romantic relationship through the eyes of her cousin Tiffany. And again, I would so die for a situation for Annie and Kyle to do the same, where Annie has to sit with Kyle looking through the eyes of one of Annie's besties, and it better not be her son again. Not again, but it better not be her son. I just don't want that in my life. So basically, again, Alex is like, it's really love, and it's really going to be important for us to have religion in our relationship, which is this person doesn't even believe in God. And then she says, with tough times comes good times. And that almost seemed, yeah, can we unpack with that? Because it means like, is that what you tell yourself, or you gaslight yourself to make you stay in really tough times, because the possibility that at some point later can be a taste of a good time, and or at least a time of not so much bad times,
Yeah, again, that to me again comes from church. It comes from this idea that you have to suffer, as a Christian, or you suffer through life, and like you get married and you stay married, and it's absurd of it is it's hard and it's work, and that is true, but that doesn't mean that you stay with someone who's fundamentally different than you. someone who doesn't recognize your stresses in the world as a African American, someone who wants to have threesomes with you. And they keep saying like, well, if he was Christian, he wouldn't want threesomes. And I'm like, that's not true. Like there are Christians who want threesomes right now and probably do them, because it's between a covenant between them and their wives and God, and they're going to let God judge them at the end of it. But right now, they're going to put this face in both of these vaginas. Like, what are you even talking about? It's just so stupid to me. It's very like small-minded. And again, this is somebody who's a therapist who's supposed to be giving advice and listening to other people. And for herself, she's saying like detrimental, like non-healthy things. I'm just like, I wish they hadn't told me what her job was, because now I'm like, you're unqualified, because this is like crazy that you're believing that you need to suffer through somebody who's like that. And Chris, I think you're right. There is a certain amount of like, this person makes me feel alive. How could it be wrong? Like, yes, because so many connections that you have with people don't make you feel shit. And so to actually feel something, you're like, oh, God's putting this person in my path for a reason. Obviously, I have to do it. But then the like the idea that you should suffer through it is the thing that I am not with at all. Like I shouldn't have to suffer through it when we're not raising children and paying bills together. Like when that part happens, yeah, have a house, we're trying to meld two ideas 100%. But before that, before the true like hurdles, no. So all right, you guys, that's the end of this episode. We want to thank you so much for joining us. And if you at all want to support your girls and you want to join our Patreon, you can do so at patreon.com/DocuSweeties. It's $10 a month. You get a live every first Monday of the month, plus other goodies. So if you're interested in that, please join us there at patreon.com/DocuSweeties. But if you can't, Chris will tell you some free options. Chris?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We are on social media. So make sure that you are following at DocuSweeties on Instagram, at DocuSweeties on TikTok, at DocuSweeties1 on X. We have a Facebook group, the DocuSweeties Podcast Facebook group, and also our YouTube is up and running. So make sure that you are subscribed there as well, my babes. And if you haven't given us a like helpful, loving, warm review, consider yourselves tasked. Anyway, thank you so much. We'll talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.